All right, okay, and all right, and an okay, ladies and gentlemen. A happy Thursday to you, July the 4th, U.S. Independence Day. I hope y'all are having a safe, no different than any other day. Okay. I hope y'all are having a safe and powerful and restful holiday. There are some that have taken this whole week off. Again, we have talked about the fact that the holiday falls in the middle of the week, kind of, esque. So you could either celebrate it the weekend before or this upcoming weekend. I am sure people are going to double down and do it for both. And to each their own. This is what we believe in on this podcast. We believe it is the truth that comes from the Creator, because it is your choice to choose. To each their own, right? That's how we simplify it on this podcast. People want to get a little bit more complex, by all means, because to each their own. Today is a good day. We're going to talk about freedom, y'all. This is what we're talking about today is freedom. Yay, freedom, right? We're talking about freedom that comes from inside the heart, inside the mind, that yearns for more being created by such a powerful and awesome force, y'all. Freedom from oppression. Freedom from tyranny in all its forms, passive and aggressive. Right? We're going to get into some word study today, ladies and gentlemen, because again, on this podcast, right, as we have banners of things. You know, when I look on my Facebook page, ladies and gentlemen, because again, we everywhere. We on Instagram, we on Facebook, we on Twitter, X, whatever they want to call it, right? I don't care who takes over what, right? Elon Musk can do what he wants. Again, Twitter, X, Y, Z, it's all the same thing, right? Much like the wordplay that they play with us today that we are slowly finding out about. Again, many of these things are very interchangeable when you learn about an equivocal language. So, we everywhere, y'all. Instagram, we everywhere. If you ever have anything you need to talk to your boy about, you drop a comment. Again, we everywhere. Right? This is a different view. Launch season, right? We already told y'all the plane done took off. It's off the runway. It's flying high now, right? We the plus 500 strong out here. See, this is about flying into that glorious sun. We are made for glorious purpose, man. That's not just Loki. Oh, that's all people made by a good and gracious designer and fashioner, right? So independence. While this nation was playing a little, I'm watching this Star Wars thing, y'all, and you see what happens when one side of a coin tries to differentiate itself. Some of y'all on this podcast who know me know where I will go with this. They try to differentiate themselves. Again, we talk about this minority mental health month, by the way. Shout out one time. We're going to have a conversation about it, right, y'all? We's going to have the conversation. Because, guys, you got to understand the whole of a thing. To see, again, this is the point of this different view thing, because you got a lot of people out there telling you one side of it, but they don't tell you the other one because they discredit it on purpose. And they discredit it on purpose because on the inside of them has been put there from, as we say on this podcast, massa. Because again, slavery didn't go nowhere. I know we celebrate this independence. It's made to look that way. That's all right. Because in a very real sense, we are independent. Right. First of all, let's set the groundwork and the foundation for this episode by talking about the definition of the word independence. We're going to go backwards here a little bit. You know how we like to break down Words and phrases on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how else to say it, but you need to pay attention to words and phrases being used. People use a lot of, again, for not using certain words to get people thrown off. They use a lot of, we'll just say it this way, they use a lot of words and phrases to throw you off the path. If you do not break down these words and phrases properly, look at their origins and where they come from, you are going to miss a lot. You're going to miss a lot. You don't have to be an international scholar on, biblical interpretation, or like we have mentioned in past episodes here, a world historian on all the intricacies that have happened between France and Spain, Portugal, Italy, things that go back further in time, where there would be the kingdom of Persia, the kingdom of Babylon, all the different towns that are in Greece, right? You don't have to go that far to get a very serious base knowledge of who you are, what your purpose is on this planet, and how you affect people around you. That's a real thing. That's a very real thing. Don't let them throw you off that path, man. God has made the thing simple. People make it complicated. Believe that every, not without fail, because God is, matter of fact, let me just pull that up while we're talking here. See, God is not a person to be mocked, y'all. God is not like the creation, where you do the things that creation does to creation. You understand? And what we do here, okay, is bring out the whole of a thing, so that slowly, see, because I think sometimes we suffer from too much info, if I could be so blunt. Even your phone, you got a lot of information there. You watch on TV, and we're talking media. We have broke down the word media, of which you get multiple medias, which is medium. Okay, the medium that are out there, similar to the same thing that you hear as far as people who speak to spirits gone past and all that kind of thing. Funny how those two things correlate, right? But I digress. So this whole idea this idea where we get way too much information, you gotta pick apart, you gotta sift, right? We talked about this verse that's said in the Bible where you can train your senses to know the difference between good and evil. The Bible in the Gospels talks about how the sheep can actually hear the shepherd's voice. See, you can know. It's input, another ability, input in you, this intuition, discernment, all these different words we use, right? It's time for us to start picking apart, as the Bible calls it, the wheat and the chaff. There's other ways we say it in the street. There's ways I've said it on this podcast, like the BS. And you listen to a lot of people and they are amazingly full of it, right? Galatians 6, verse 7. We're going to read 1 through 7 real quick. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in the fault, if a person, again, right, flip out these things. If a person be overtaken in the fault, you are spiritual, which means you got a lot of Christians that are not spiritual. They have not tapped into that which, what is the word spiritual, KJ? What that, KJ, pause for 2 seconds. Can you tell us, KJ, what does spiritual mean? We have gone over that on our Halloween episode. However, we're going to reiterate because, again, folks have missed it. And as a result, repetition is necessary for learning, right? Relating to or affecting the human spirit or the spirit or soul, as opposed to material things or physical things. See, when it comes to the emotions and stuff like that, I don't like putting "or" in there. I think both of them are very spiritual in nature. Your anger, your fear, your joy, your adulation, sorrow, and happiness. Y'all pay attention when you watch these Inside Out movies, by the way, because they explain the emotions on a real, powerful, right there level. That's very real. Shout out to these movie theaters, not movie theaters, these movie companies and stuff doing this stuff, guys, because again, otherwise you wouldn't know. People don't, again, we're in Minority Mental Health Month. Minorities do not go to the therapist. It has increased exponentially since when I was a kid in the 80s. However, because of the church not relying upon the comforter that is in people, you poo-pooed mental therapy when you should have been preaching it from the highest pulpits in this nation and on this planet. If the comforter lives in people, and those people have, again, what are we saying here? You who are spiritual, if you've tapped into it, because again, you can train your senses, right? If you have tapped into it, then you can help somebody. That's the point, y'all. Why wouldn't you point people that direction? I know why. Ooh, a piece of candy. Then that piece of candy would be Massa telling you mental therapy is of the devil. I think that's wrong, y'all. And maybe we need to relook at something. Find out a different view about therapy, y'all. About the mind, about the soul, about the human spirit. It's funny, as I'm looking on Google here, you've got what we talk about a lot on this podcast. You see forms of meditation. You see different beliefs shown in this picture. In this picture about spirituality, you see the chakra. Another thing that Christians poo-poo. Just like they believe God is only three. If you are multifaceted, what would that make your creator if you're made in the likeness of? It's only three, y'all. Then you want to highlight them three. That's all well and good. Go for it. But is it only three, y'all? Or maybe those three are expounded upon into multiple faceted issues or circumstances or parts. Just like the Bible tells you, many parts, but one body, right? We missed it, ladies and gentlemen. And then you preached it from the pulpit and caused other people to miss it. Those same converts in your church, you turned them twice into the child of hell, y'all. Exactly what Jesus said, of which we've gone over on this podcast. This last episode of Star Wars Acolyte, just to transition a little bit, gets into this idea. Actually, hold on 2 seconds. Let's finish up this. So spiritual, those who know about spirit stuff, right? Restore them. Y'all can't get there. Wait a minute now. So we're talking about that context, right? Folks got a problem with old KJ with context. See, get to know people first before you judge them. And we don't. We quick to talk, man. We quick to, again, you got to know somebody. And here's how. You restore them in such a spirit. It's restore such a one in the spirit of meekness. Ooh. Hey, we talked about that word on this podcast before, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we have. You got to put yourself in a certain place. Don't you know? Now, it's not pride, it's haughtiness. Don't you know haughtiness has shut down people from putting themselves in the spirit of meekness, in the essence of meekness, in the breath of meekness. Meekness is a submissive thing. See, you got to put yourself in the place of someone. And folks discredit too much. Do you know where you get that discrediting from? Massa. In the attempt to rob, steal, kill, destroy. You can't be meek no more. So when we talked about the homeless last episode or episode before, we don't know nothing about that. They're just weak and lazy and they need to go to work. And if you live by the sword, yes, if you live by the sword, where we get the term violence begets violence from. But in the Bible, it tells you if you live by the sword, you're going to die by it. So for my gun toters, yeah, you got the right to defend yourself. But if you don't use responsibility with that thing, guess what you're going to do? Never mind. Never mind. Talking about this idea of God will not be mocked. Considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Lord, if we could get a hold of that, man, we will change the game if we could get a hold of verse 1 in Galatians 6 right here. Bear ye one another's burdens. You know why you got problems in the household? Because y'all can't bear each other's burdens. Now, I'm being for real right now. You know why there's issues here where we hide behind independence instead of looking at our citizens dying in the streets, literally? Because we stopped bearing one another's burdens. The Bible talks about how Jesus, seeing his disciples in the beginning, said, stop fishing, I'll make you fishers of men. People, right? We got to get this down on the inside, y'all, because it's being used as a tool to kill us. Literally. And so fulfill the law of Christ. Wait a second. You fulfill the law. We talking the 10 Commandments. I know y'all will break down the law of Christ, whatever, but we're going to make it plain for folks. Yes, make it plain for us, KJ. You got it. The law of Christ, the 10 Commandments, everything you read in the Bible up until Galatians 6 and beyond. It's how you put it in context, y'all. You fulfill it. Now, this idea of fulfilling the law is repeated multiple times, normally having to do with loving folks, but I digress. Bearing one another's burdens, being in the spirit of meekness. Now, again, when they say bearing another's burdens, you got to get into the meekness part before you can bear another's burdens, and the two coincide, because you can't bear someone's bearing, holding up. That's what bear means, right? You can't hold up another person's burdens and help them through life if you don't put yourself in their place. This is where white folks have a disconnect with black people. Yeah, I got to say it clearly. Because during Independence Day, you had slaves back in old 1776, where the English government said, hey, we'll free y'all. But you left them slaves as soon as you got these lands that you had already stolen years prior. Huh? Sorry, y'all. I know we do the DID thing. I know. But if my people are called by my name, will turn from their wicked ways and pray. Just to paraphrase the verse, man. You gotta recognize certain things, or else this don't work. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceives himself. Again, but by the grace of God, there go I. Let every man prove his own work. And then he shall have rejoicing in himself alone, not in another. Again, a lot of people taking credit for folks' stuff. You got to stop doing that. Stand on your own 2 feet. You wouldn't have issues with slavery if those who were European, aka the so-called white man, would stand on their own 2 feet. You don't need the black man to make your money. You can do it on your own. Black people, you don't need white folks to make you feel special. You are special on your own. Hey. Whew. Man, when you get that down on the inside of you, this is where the conflict starts to begin. Because people who do not recognize you as special, when you walk in the spirit of meekness, that's a conflict to them. And that's where the violence begins, because they strike back out at you, no different than Cain versus Abel. No different than Adam versus Eve, so on and so forth. For every man shall bear his own burden. This is another rule of life here. Again, now look how combined that is. Verse 2 telling you that you bear one another's burdens, and also verse 5 that you bear your own burden. Man, that's the whole game right there, y'all. If you take responsibility for yourself, and if people help as you are taking responsibility for yourself, but because of the hardness of people's hearts. This is another thing talked about in the Gospels, talking about divorce. We're not going to go there. I'm not going to touch that right now. Maybe we'll save that. We'll save that one for next Valentine's Day, y'all. Yeah, we'll say yeah. We'll revisit this next Valentine's Day. Okay. Matter of fact, we're gonna write it down. Y'all remind KJ, because again, we tend to forget things. The hardness of men. So this is something that I've sat on for a long time. But we will talk about it next year. Because again, The inability of people to realize this has screwed them. Let him that is taught in the word communicate. Now, again, we even use this term for the Bible, the word. I like to make it a little bit more personal. So those who have been taught in this, for those who don't believe in Christianity, who have been taught in this belief, right? That's making it plain for y'all, right? Those who have been brought up in the tenets of the faith, who believe in the way, right? Again, the way it has been characterized today is Christianity. Those who are taught in Christianity communicate unto, not him, them, because you're talking people, that teacheth in all good things. So you teach, this is what we mean about this disciple thing. So your philosophers, your leaders, your teachers, right? This is what a disciple's learning from. Y'all gotta be so brought up in this idea of meekness and bearing another's burdens, and holding your own self accountable, whereby you can teach another. And that's why when y'all talk about discipleship to me, I ain't hearing. I'm not operating in the status quo anymore. It ain't about the disciple. It's about the teacher. In Jesus's life, although he brought disciples unto him, Jesus made sure he was perfect in teaching. Not just because of the Son of God part. We're talking about before his ministry started, he studied all the texts, y'all. This ain't that what the Bible tells you? You got to know a thing before you tell people. And again, the information for y'all to understand about life and to help somebody else is right at your fingertips, literally. You just got to have the heart to go and to look for it. And all that deception will fall off your eyes like scales, man. That thing is so real. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. We have talked about this seed of the scornful and how it is ungodly, right? I know I made a mistake in talking and said godly, but it is ungodly. The word mocked coming from mock, to tease or laugh at in a scornful or contemptuous way. That's coming from Oxford's dictionary. To make, this interesting, because everybody done said you got a lot of black folks who don't have no slave patents. That wasn't real. I don't even know how many different ones, like the KFC one. That's one. There's a whole bunch of them where people's, no, that didn't happen. Like black folks here on these lands. No, that didn't happen. Mocking. Anyway. You're told, blessed are you when you don't sit in that seat. Come on, somebody. You got to get it on the inside in order to get this. This is how this works. Get it in your mind. See it through your eyes, man, because otherwise you're going to miss it. You're living down here on the planet and folks are discrediting people. That's a problem. When you are all down here to profit with and by and through each other. Oh, yeah. Things like the Willie Lynch letter. Nope. That wasn't the thing. Various Black Wall Streets. Nope. That wasn't the thing. You could go on and on and on. Mocking. Scorning. That's what that is. Right? Make something seem laughable. Where have we seen that before? Laughably unreal or impossible. To mimic scornfully. We've seen that before. Especially with the homosexual community. Walking around, sashaying your hips, acting like a man that sashays his hips. Because guess what? Certain men sashay when they never mind. Because see, you believe something that you think is in the Bible that was untainted, right? King James couldn't have had nothing to do with that. This is inspired word of God. This is how y'all spin this. Because again, we don't put ourselves in the spirit of meekness, so you miss it. That the effeminate person is cursed of God. That would make sense. Just like they killed witches unfairly that weren't witches. Dare I say, people doing anything that was different than the norm of the Church of England, you were already labeled as a witch, and they killed you for it. Okay? God is not mocked. Let's put all that in there. God is not the one that's going to get scorned. He's not the... We think we got this. We don't. God does. The Creator does. The grand designer and fashioner of this thing does. Not the creation. You're not above. You're made in the likeness of. It's two different things. Whatever a person sows, they will reap. And we're going to skip 8 because people like to go there a lot. This is encouragement. Let us not be weary in well-doing. Do not give up in the fight. We talked about this with the X-Men. We've seen this here with you see the deception that happens in Star Wars Acolyte, especially this last episode that came out this past Tuesday. Okay, which we'll get into that in a second. Don't give up. See that we talked about that thing with Starbucks and these people pushing back on the folks trying to get their freedom as workers. Ladies and gentlemen, again, the thing comes to the patient. You got to hang in there. How good is your rope-a-dope to take something from Muhammad Ali? You got all them punches coming at you. Y'all replay, look up rope-a-dope and look at Muhammad Ali dashing and moving on that. You take a couple of glancing blows. You got to be able to take a couple of hits. Not in this case to give him back, but to protect yourself, right? Anyway, for in due season. Now, a lot of people like to do this with patience and wait on the Lord and wait. And again, they use that as, twisted holy notions. You twist that to never reward somebody. So we caught the play on that, y'all. However, this is a real thing that in due season you reap if you faint not. Seed time and harvest is another way that it's talked about. Where you plant something. Now, after you plant it, there's stuff you got to do to nurture it. You know, like nurture is only for women. I saw that on one of my social medias, man. This idea, this umbrella going down. And to each their own, okay? But the woman's only got the nurture part there. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bible has told you, we read it. Husbands are supposed to nurture, right? Never mind. Again, you've been told something different to manipulate and hold you down. Okay. So, independent. Let's get into the word independent here. How long are we in? 27 minutes. All right. Independence comes from the word independent, free from outside control, not depending on another's authority. Again, when you talk about this nation's independence, it's made to look like they are free from England. They are free from Europe. When in reality, it is just Europe 2.0. It was the birthplace for Europe to continue its dominance on North American soil. And it's hard for folks to accept it because you've been taught a whole lot. But the longer information keeps coming out, ladies and gentlemen, you start to see that there was some stuff hidden here, and that's only part of the story. What should have been freedom for all turned into freedom for some. That's just the truth. This is not to poo-poo the United States, because again, if my people humble themselves, y'all say you're a God-fearing nation, you're preaching the Bible from schools now. You're making mandates on that. And of course, it would be in the Bible Belt, because again, we're looking at things imbalanced. A place where there's supposed to be some level of refuge. Now you've turned it into dictatorship, but I digress. And I know folks don't want to accept it. That's all right. Because this is what mental disorder looks like. You saying the other ones are wrong. That's levels of confusion, y'all. The same confusion they talk about is wrong with the transgender person and the homosexual. Not realizing they just operating in who they are. But are you? Because you're supposed to be the agents of freedom. I understand we talk about this judgment so much. Y'all supposed to be the agents of freedom. There ain't a thing in that other than in Isaiah 61 talking about the acceptable year of the Lord. And that is not what all those abilities flow through, by the way, because this is another one of these defenses in the mind. We understand. There is a level of order to the chaos where you're not binding people. You're helping them to be free. Another part of the definition from Oxford's Dictionary on Independent: not depending on another for livelihood or subsistence. Existence, so on and so forth, is what subsistence deals with. So your existence. You're not dependent upon another one. I'm just going to leave that there, y'all. So again, free from outside control, ladies and gentlemen. This is the sick part where greed comes into play. See, you got to make it look like you're hurting and you're dying and you're sick. We're talking about deception. Is what this is. And deception starts in the most interesting of ways. When you watch the TV show Star Wars Acolyte, we've gotten into the part of the thing now where we know the Jedi done screwed up. Wonder where we've seen something like that before. Not saying that the tenets that they hold are wrong, but the application of them is. Right? And this would go for different beliefs of the world, right? You could say this about the Buddhist. You could say this about, you know what I mean? Like anybody who veers away from the path to a certain extent, which is why there's balance. Okay? And that's all right. Come on back to understanding this type of stuff, y'all. This goes for the Islamic person, leaving the tenets of Allah. Okay? And what you see in the Quran and stuff like that, restudy. You know, restudy. Our lives depend on it. Knowing scripture and verse is immaterial to the knowledge therein. It's two totally different things. We could get into that verse in the Bible that talks about how without love that thing sounds like a resounding gong, and it does. All you do is like a clash in the mind. I don't remember if y'all remember the Gong Show back in the day, but that bong, that's all it sounds like when people just keep referencing verse after verse. Right? Does it apply to my life? Because if it don't, I don't care. I don't care that you memorize all this stuff, that you know this stuff from church history and church fathers and stuff. Does it apply to my life? How can it help me put more money in the bank? I'm telling you now from the stuff y'all see in the Bible, y'all, separate from among them. Be ye separate. Ain't got nothing to do with segregation that they put black folks in after July 4th, 1776. We're talking about you come away from massa that wants you bound. So you keep making money for them and how it affects everything, whether it's your relationship. Now, again, relationship is a broad term. Relationship as far as in your marriage, the relationship to your bank account, the relationship to your body, the relationship to your mind and spirit, the relationship to all of you as person, the relationship to you and your creator. Recognizing this earth, the relationship to the earth. We killing this earth with the greed we do, y'all. That's not part of the dress and keep. All this oil and all these gases and all this wasted food. All this fake food in an attempt to fulfill someone else's dream, not no American dream. The American dream is where the natives of these lands could roam free once again with everybody else living here. That's the American dream. And we ain't there yet. So when you sit on the job and you say you live in a dream, realize you are living masses' dream, not the American one. Shout out to my native brothers and sisters on this land. You got to speak the truth, y'all. Again, I know we like to do this DID thing where it ain't is what you saying it is, but it is exactly what it is. Again, as we've referenced, it's like that. And that's the way it is, y'all. Okay, you watch this thing, okay? One, I don't like the fact that they got into the Star Wars Disney trilogy in this last episode. I could care less about how they show this island. See, because again, the way they did Last Jedi, they messed. This is just a little side note here, but it ties into all of this. It's not cool, y'all. I don't necessarily care for the Disney trilogy. Just overall, and they did a whole lot of that. Okay, they did a whole lot of that. Y'all can ask me off online, whatever, what my whole thing is, and we can go back and forth on that. Okay, but in this episode, it does bring out some very serious things, like looking at the deception and the temptation from the dark side, where it starts to play around with the tenets of light and truth and twist them just ever so slightly, that if you're not paying attention and grounded into a thing, you will fall off. Now, of course, in the movie Star Wars, the redemption is such a centralized theme. For Anakin, for Luke, for Han Solo, Princess Leia. It doesn't matter who it is. Redemption is like the central theme of that, and also is the central theme of the Bible. But I digress. So just some things. Good show so far, but again, there's just some things that your boy has an issue with. We got a note here. God, the one, right? The names that we give God and everything in between does not dwell from the things of fashion and designs of creation. God doesn't consist from the thing created. God is. And creation consists from the maker. You understand? It's the other way around. Okay. And as you understand that, you can understand where you become truly self-sufficient. There's no other nation that births a nation. You see, it is that nation itself living in harmony with the rest of the planet, truly. And that is not what happened in 1776. Again, we like to joke on this podcast when they say the British are coming, ourselves are coming, because that's what that was. They started a whole war between themselves as a ruse to cover what happened in the 1600s to the dear native peoples of these lands, y'all. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. You can see it clear as day. I know everybody gives you the informational facts of it. They let you know about taxation without representation. They let you know about all this kind of stuff. They never tie it together, though. That's done on purpose. That's done on purpose. So, real independence starts and consists and ends with the maker. We respond to that which God has given us as we operate independently on this planet from the creator in the standpoint of, yes, in the parameters. This is where you get into predestination, all that kind of thing. Guys, understand, it's a very simple thing. You just can't do what you want to do down here. I get it. I get that bothers folks. I understand they feel like they're being intruded upon and all that kind of thing. Understand, look at life right now. You cannot do whatever you want to do, y'all. Look how screwed it is. We're not talking about tsunamis and hurricanes and earthquakes. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about the damage we've done to the ozone layer, the damage we've done to the water table, right? Did y'all know, by the way, just a side note, something you can look online about, 80% of the stuff you buy from the supermarket's only owned by 12 companies? See, this kind of stuff happens because people do not pay attention. You can look up the list online. I'm not lying to you, right? There's an issue, guys, when you do not push for yourself and you constantly pay attention to massa. It's out of balance. The boss is all well and good, but it does not work without the worker. Do you know how to operate your own land when they go screwing around and closing down? You see what happened in 2020 with the coronavirus. Talking about how independent we are, right? We are dependent, y'all. They're lying. Never mind. See, again, and this is this little dance we're going to do with this upcoming election. Because you believe one of them. Unfortunately, people still hold to a thing. See, you either hold to the one or love the other. This is what the Bible talks about. And in this case, folks are holding on to massa real good, man. I mean, they're like the baby not wanting to leave mama, holding on to the leg, crying and whining. That kind of, this is what we're doing with massa, y'all. Let it go. And walk out on your own. Walk on the water on your own, y'all. We make fun of Peter for falling after seeing the waves, but we discredit the part that where he walked on the water. It says it right there in the verses, y'all. He walked to Jesus on the water. He was doing it. We got to pick up the steps again, y'all. That's all right. So we tripped and fell a little bit. Dust off them knees, the scuff marks, right? You know how it happened, right? Dust off your elbow and stuff. You slam into the ground. Dust that off. My skateboarder folks, my BMX people, y'all know about it, right? You pull off that trick and you fall and you fail. Do you stay down there on the ground? No, you don't. Not all of you. No, you don't. Dust yourself off and keep on moving. Yes. Dust yourself off and keep on moving. Hold up each other. Bear up each other. That's real, man. So we're going to get into this last thing here and let y'all go as we've hit 40 minutes here. And again, it's Independence Day. I think if you're going to take some time talking, it's the time to start taking the time talking, right? So talking about independence, what real independence look like? What does real independence look like, KJ? I know you're saying all this, man, but what real independence look like? We're going to play a little video for y'all about what real independence, and we're going to start off with this question. Do y'all know, this is coming out of the good state of Oklahoma, because again, like many of the states made on these lands, I should say, because they got to separate you real good to start playing that DID game with you, but I digress, right? Talking about that which is made that we call on Independence Day, right? So let's just pull this up here, cue it up, and then we will get into it. Here's the question. Do you know who is the person who has the longest prison sentence in history for a crime they did not commit? Do y'all know? A couple of y'all I've talked to about it already, so you know the name. But do you know? No? Okay. Let us play this video and find out. Hopefully this thing is not too loud. Let's bring it down just a touch. All right, here we go.
There is a new food truck in town and a famous face funding the enterprise.
Glenn Simmons holds an international distinction. I'm sure he wishes he doesn't, but he is the man who has served the longest prison sentence in history for a crime the court came back and said he did not commit. News 4 has featured Simmons dozens of times since we started covering his case 20 years ago.
News 4's Allie Meyer has been on the story for 20 years, and tonight, an update on his settlement and his plans for the future.
Unjustly incarcerated 48 years, 5 months, 18 days for a murder he did not do.
We set up for 200 people.
Glenn Simmons is 71 years old and starting life anew.
Today is beautiful. This day I've been waiting on for a long time.
In Northeast Oklahoma City.
I did 31 years. He did 48.
He's got an old friend running the kitchen.
I'm trying to support him in the way I can. Because that's how we always watch each other's back.
And new friends helping with the business plan. His neighbors on Northeast 20th and MLK, Episcopal Church of the Redeemer, gave up a few parking spots.
The food truck is a really needed thing on the east side. More businesses equal a better community. And so it was just a natural fit.
To make way for Free Man's Food Truck.
You taping this, Travis?
Yeah, I'm taping it.
This truck is named in honor of Ali Miles. She the one gave me the name Free Man. Free Man. She gave me the and it stuck. And so I decided to name the truck Free Man Food.
I wasn't a trigger man.
50 years he dreamed about life on the outside, his prison fantasy, to open a small business to share his love of great food with his community. 1 year ago, this innocent man walked out of the same courthouse where he'd been sentenced to death.
I came out of prison with absolutely nothing. No food, no clothing, no shelter, no medication, no transportation.
Generous Oklahomans helped him get back on his feet.
I don't know nothing else to do but to give back. After serving 48 years, all I want to do is serve others now.
Good to his word, Simmons is serving up free food truck fare on this grand opening day.
When you give, it's like it perpetuates. It comes back. And that's been happening to me since I've been out of prison.
For Glenn Simmons, every day above ground is a good day.
Goodbye.
Allie Meyer, Oklahoma's News 4.
free man food truck will be set up near Northeast 20th and MLK for lunch and dinner.
And by the way, Simmons recently got word he's going to receive the maximum compensation from the state of Oklahoma for his wrongful conviction. He's using a portion of that $175,000 settlement to start the Free Man's Food Truck.
As modern Americans, we outlive our hips, our knees.
There we go. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen, and we're back. How did y'all like that clip? We're going to send you away. This is the home run feeling. This is bottom of the ninth. You are down by a run, and you got the runner on second base, and you need something to get that person home. And you didn't just hit the single. You didn't just hit the double. You hit that thing out the park. And this clip is clear evidence. I means clear evidence, number one, of where we need to get to when it comes to the criminal justice system. It's time to start exonerating these people who are actually innocent, y'all. Right? That same metaphor into life and how the peoples of this planet are not as horrible as you think they are. I'm talking about the dark, tan skin tone folks to the lighter ones on this planet. The correlation between the two needs to get better. Because did you hear what the Episcopalian minister said? Shout out to the Episcopal Church. This is where it starts, y'all. And this is where it continues. And this is where it ends. True religion undefiled, since folks love religion. So true religion undefiled before God. This is what it says in the New Testament, y'all. That you take care of the fatherless and the widow. That you take care of those in need. I'm not going to read the verse right now. We'll get into that in another time. Okay. Guys, this is what this is about. When it comes to criminal justice and the jail system, another one of these things talking about promise and freedom. That's a rehabilitation area. And you know ain't too much rehabbing going on there. We need, again, the checks and balances need to get better. This needs to stop being less about putting the folks we just don't like on the street in jail. Right? We talking freedmen. We're talking about freedmen. When you go back into the 1800s, the freedmen, right? Did you know one of the things put him in jail? A pseudo law made up for jaywalking. It wasn't even there before. Now, all of a sudden, you got all these people on the land, and they figured out a way how to put them back. See, because, again, in the Constitution, it lets you know that, yeah, you good, but if you go back into jail, you lose all of your rights. That's the way that wording is left in that amendment, y'all. That's dangerous. But it was done on purpose. Just like the deception of Independence Day. Because yes, there was a battle. And yes, a group of people did get their independence from someone. Themselves. But it was done at the cost of people already here that same nation of people took from improperly. We're recognizing one without recognizing the whole, ladies and gentlemen. And until we recognize the whole, we won't be. Right? So, hope y'all caught the play on that wordplay. Until we catch the whole of the thing, y'all, we won't be whole. We can't be. Because we're hurting innocent people at the cost of supposed independence. So that's what I got for y'all today. Again, shout out these lands we live on, y'all. Come on now. Come on, one time. Shout out the North American continent we live on. And the freedom that there is. And the responsibilities that humans have with those freedoms they've been given. And the ability and the freedom and the independence to live and breathe this beautiful air created for us down here. And to walk and hold hands with the people that have been created down here for us to hold hands with. And allow people to live free, to be freed men and freed women. And enjoy money. And enjoy prosperity. Enjoy comfort and all that it brings. I hope y'all have an awesome day today. Stay safe out there. Don't get too crazy with these fireworks, man. They put little bombs in your hand. Exercise caution, right? Again, we're talking responsibility. Responsibility with your firework lighting, right? So, thank y'all very much for walking this road with me. My apologies for going a little long today. However, y'all have a powerful Independence Day, and we will talk to you soon. And as always, look to find the beauty in a different view.